And we are live. So let's give people some time to join. And in the meantime, welcome everybody to the yet another great talk today. So it's going to be about the role of designers in the future of education. And let me introduce our great speaker today. So it's Dr. An- Anbuthambi. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correct. So he's the president of ICT Academy. It's an educational initiative of the government of India in collaboration with the state governments and industries. So he's responsible for leading the company and providing strategic directions towards achieving performance in all its initiatives. So now I'm becoming silent and I'm giving the stage to you, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, madam, for your warm introduction. Hope I'm audible to all of you, and a warm good morning from India, because I'm taking this session from India, so that I should wish you all a good morning. And I understand people are attending from various parts of the world, and it is definitely going to be different time zone for all of you. And I'm very glad to be here. And should we wait for a few more minutes for people to join? Okay, so this is a very different and unique session, that a unique conference that I have joined, because typically myself, I'm Anbuthambi. I'm president of a company called ICT Academy in India. It's a kind of a bridge organization between the formal higher education institutions in India and the industry across the globe. India, you all know, it's a very large nation which produces the huge talent to the global industry, and this talent has to be as per the requirement of the industry, and they should be at par with the current context in terms of talent, in terms of knowledge, in terms of their skills. So we work closely with the industry majors across the globe. We work or we partner with the companies like Google, Microsoft's, IBM's, or companies like Autodesk, Dassault, kind of design companies, etc. We take their inputs of what is going to be there for future, and then we prepare the teachers and students in India to get up for the next level in the industry, both for employment as well as for entrepreneurship. So I've been listening to various speakers right from morning, and definitely it looks like a very interesting conference. And very special about this conference is this is very well focused one and only with the designers across the globe. And definitely this conference is going to make a huge impact among both the current designers who are currently working as designers, and also for the aspiring designers. So no, my session is going to be next 20 minutes is going to be a little different than what you have been witnessing since morning, because every session I was watching and I was keen to understand, learn from the other speakers. It was more to get, and it was in depth into your domain. All those sessions were in depth into the designer's domain. But now I'm just taking you a little ahead, or I would say I'll take you a little out of the role of designers, and I want you to look at this presentation as a student, as a teacher, as a parent, and as a citizen of our nations. Because the reason is education is one part which we all know have used it and benefited it, and today where we are is because of the education that we have well gained from our own schools, colleges, parents, teachers, etc., and also mentors. So now the trend is going to change. Now the trend is going to definitely change. That too specifically after this COVID pandemic, which has occurred in last 1 year. It is going to change the way in which we are. We are looking at education, or we all studied. When we studied in schools or in college, the way in which we learned is going to be very different than what these students today who are currently in college or school, or our kids who will come to schools and colleges in the future are going to look at. So there is also a reason why I'm picking up this topic. This will have a big relevance to this audience who are typically designers. because no, there were some questions earlier, no, in earlier sessions with other speakers. No, what kind, no, will designer role be accepted by parents? Will designer role, no, have its own merit? My answer is yes, because designers are going to decide a lot of things in future. They are going to shape up the industry. Specifically, when I talk about education, they are going to shape up the education industry in the future. Okay, so let me move ahead. So before getting into the core topic of what will be the future of education and what will designers know, what will be the role of designers, I know whenever we talk about design or I think about design, I used to remember, no, or I used to always think about certain things which has really amazed us, which has really made us think a lot. Okay, are you all able to see this one picture? No, which whether you are in India or in Africa or in US or Australia, anywhere, definitely you would have seen this one item. This is a simple safety pin. I'm sure you all are aware. This is found everywhere, wherever you go, at homes, hotels, wherever you go, you will find this. And I'm sure there is no one in this participant in this audience who wouldn't have no seen this one particular utility. And if you look at this, was made, no, if I'm right, some 150 to 200 years ago, or at least 100 years ago. And this one design has never changed till date. Very simple, no, very simple. There is no complication at all. No, a very simple design, and the utility was no there. No, the utilization of this particular design, right, for the past 200 years, it has met its need, and it continues to meet its need, and nothing has come to replace this. The power of this particular safety pen has never changed. Think about somebody who has made this design. So look at the kind of characteristic what that particular person or that particular team would have had on making this design. And the core part is this design remains in reality for more than 100 years. So is it, have they used some software tool to design this? Have they used some measurement equipments to design this? My answer is no. They wouldn't have done all those things, right? They would have done just by using the brain and using some metal or material or whatever. But today this stands. So is when we think about design, should we think about simplicity? I don't know, because I'll take you to the next picture. Oh, sorry, it went to the end. Okay, I'll take you to the next picture. I think this photograph, all of you will definitely know about this. No, I need not brief about this. I would not say this is a simple photograph or this is a simple painting. I would not say photograph, it's a painting. Someone has used, I would say not someone, the world's famous painter has used all his creativity and imagination and his skills to bring out this painting. And I think that's a different skill set that Da Vinci has brought in for this Mona Lisa painting. This is another type of design which we all have been looking at it and copying it, or I would say we've utilized it to the core. The third and last image which I would like to show you is this image. So this is one of the oldest temple in India. I would not say oldest, but it is it's at least 1,000-year old temple. It was told that it is built before 1,000 years. It is somewhere in the southern part of India. And definitely there was no tool, there was no software, there was no equipments to measure. There was nothing at that point in time. And definitely there were no specific skilled designer to make this design and then make this construction. So if you look at all these three, there are a combination of simplicity, complicated. This is complicated. This is not simple, right? This is complicated. And of course, the painting was very realistic. So if you look at, all they had was creativity and imagination. All these three, if you ask me, a common characteristic between three of these images is creativity and imagination. Only these are the two elements which really made really made things of what it is today. So why I'm talking about these three pictures, or why I'm showing these pictures, is just to give you a indication. Designers were there several thousand years ago, and there were strong, good designers, best and better designers 1,000 years ago, and we all come from there. So design as a skill or as a characteristic is there within most of us. So design as a trait is there within most of us. Now we are trying to regulate it. We are trying to first generalize it, then specialize it, and then now we have found, or the industry has found multiple types of designers. Then we prepare ourselves towards that particular specialization. But if you look at, all these things will happen only after a particular after a very specific phase of our life, which is education. So let me just jump directly to 9 trends that will shift education to the next level, or I would say the 9 trends that will change the way, that is changing the way in which we are pursuing education today. So that is, there are certain driving forces behind this change which is happening. And you all know, I need not tell you about these 3 driving forces. Number one, which is the digital economy. So earlier, before 20, 30 years, we were not much digital. We would have been we would have been in a very nascent stage. And today, you talk about a design, or you think about a design, at any level, you always keep digital in mind, which means you know that it will be shared, it will be reused, it will be given to, it will be replicated. So you take in all those points before even you think about a design. And that is the power of the digital economy. And you can easily think about scale. Now you are capable to do some design, and you find the digital economy will take it to the globe. You have something which earlier speaker was mentioning about developing an application, mobile app, or some design around it, and the digital economy will take you to the world. And that's what we have been witnessing. Second, the machine economy, which is going to come, which means the machine is going to learn what people were doing. So now look at your own role of designers. Now there are now software tools, there are now technology which will do the painting, which means it will learn by itself. It will learn, that the machine will learn by itself on how a typical painting will happen, and it will learn from the way in which human worked, and then it will do our work. Now, right from now, if you look at most of the designs today, most of the design, earlier we used to take a white paper and do the entire design. But now you start the phase of designing, or there were a lot of elements that you will just drag and drop, and you will pick up from the existing designs, and you will just use. So all those were possible, or that's getting more and more stronger with the machine economy going to rule us. And specifically with the emergence of deep learning and machine learning, every bit of design, except the creativity and imagination, every bit of design is going to be learned by the machine, by the computer, by the software, and that is going to help us do things much easier and much faster. The third and most important driving force is the gig economy. So earlier, I have a skill, and I can be a good designer for my local industry. And today the situation is not that. So no, that there's a company next to my office who wanted a design, and they have just hired somebody from New Zealand to do the design in a week's time. And imagine, that's the power of gig economy. And there is one of my friend who is again a video designer. He works for a company. I would not say even a company. He works for an individual, who is based out of Singapore, and that individual picks up orders locally in Singapore, and executes with support of some 10 or 15 professionals across the world. So the gig economy gives you that part. You don't need to be at office. You can still be at home, and you can still support no certain number of companies, do the work and get paid for. And I think these are the three things which are the driving forces behind most of the businesses, but in particular to education, because I'm going to just talk about certain points which are going to be the trends in education, and that too more and more confined towards the higher education. So why is this trend going to change, and what makes us change? So definitely the COVID pandemic has made no the institutions, the teachers and the students and the administrators to think in a very very different manner, because no we all had to shut our schools, the classrooms were all no closed, and no we can't wait for no the opening of schools to happen in many places. So the teachers and the institutions had to adopt a lot of newer things through digital in order to make sure the students or the education goes in the normal way. So we did a no detailed research among no 5,000 educators across the country, and we came up with no these 9 factors which is definitely going to change no in spite of no we all coming back out of this COVID pandemic situation. The first trend, important trend is in India, we call it as Guru Shishya relationship, which is the teacher student relationship. So everything was revolving around the teacher and the student. So in fact, it's like a the guru and the disciple relationship. They were very close. The teacher, whatever teacher says, it's the end to the student, and that was the situation earlier. But now the trend changes. The teacher is going to become more of a facilitator. The teacher will become more of a facilitator. The teacher will become more of a guide. They may not be able to dictate. They may not be able to tell this is how we need to do. They will only be able to say this is the way in which you can go, and it's again with the choice of students. So the guru shishya relationship, which is definitely going to change in the future, that will impact the education in a bigger level. That to specifically countries like India, no, this was one of the key trait of our school. No, that guru shishya relationship remained for years, because traditionally we started with this kind of education, and that remains even today in many institutions, but that is definitely set to change. Second, the important aspect of education is self-learning, because if you look at, while self-learning has come into the industry few years ago, when Western countries started adopting, now large nations like India or institutions located in the rural parts of the country, in fact in other countries also, wherever they don't have access to technology, they don't have that capability to do self-learning. So I think that was the issue earlier. But this COVID pandemic made everybody, I would say, it compelled people, it compelled students, compelled teacher to get into the self-learning mode, which means, earlier, anything and everything we were dependent on teacher. Now it will be like even your kid who is in class 5 or class 6 will start doing self-learning. And the trend will be half of the no program, half of the class, the schools will say you will have to do self-learn and then come to no the class. I think this is where the role of the designer will start in a big way. I would not I didn't mention this in the first point, but the second point, once we say the rise of self-education, it means lot of newer content will be developed. When I say content, it is not just the books, because books are already there. No, the theory content is already there. You know which self-learning content gets most number of learners? The one content which is more engaging, the one content is more visually superior, the one content which has got more animation, the one content which has got more power to attract the students and teachers. I think when we talk about self-learning, I strongly believe 50% of the content what we all have been learning will move to self-learning, and that entire 50% will be a very very big, sizably big market, or sizably big portion for every designer to start working on, because every company is now investing, every institution is investing to develop their own courses which will be self-learned by student. And I think the role of designers, specifically the video editors, graphic designers, and web designers and instructional designers, the role for them is going to be tremendous. So it is not just only self-learning. Now, when I say self-learning, it will not stay on its own, right? So it will become a blended learning. No, there will be definitely some portion of learning which will happen at college or school, and there will be a portion which students will learn learn at home or at their own pace. So the reality is now the blended learning will take no the front stage early. No, you will not be fully dependent on self, but good portion, as I said, 50% of their content will go self, but definitely the rest 50 will be blended through a direct no teacher based model. So the libraries will go digital, which you have already seen. When I say libraries will go digital, even large companies like Google and Microsoft are in are in the development phase of some large projects, which they will try to integrate all the libraries across the globe, which means you have access to all the books across the globe in one place. I think that's the way in which the libraries will go. Our traditional libraries in schools and colleges will just become a good reading rooms, but no, everything will be online, and every book you need to know, just like how we have already started adopting the e-books. I think everything will move online, and the libraries will not just give you access to books. It will give access to more and more things. No, I've just gone through one of the e-library or online library recently, and when you take a book, when you start reading that e-book, you want to understand a particular concept, you know in that book, which is otherwise to know a physical book material earlier. Now you just go online, open the book, and you're learning about some some experiment, and you click that experiment there, immediately that video of that experiment plays, which means that line online library, the book is embedded with videos and content to make the reader easily understand things. So that is going to be the power that digital libraries are going to handle. So when I say digital libraries, don't underestimate by thinking it will be only the e-format of the existing books. No, it is adding more power to the books, because not everybody will just learn, read the books and understand things. They need more, deeper understanding about each concept, which is only possible when they know this kind of technology, plays a big role. So there is a huge role here for every designer. Again, every concept which is explained in the book, people are now creating videos, they are shooting the videos, and they're making the experiments, they are showing it as part of video inside the books. When I click that particular portion, I get that particular video. So I think that's the power the graphic designers and video designers will bring into the digital libraries. The fifth and most important trend is the labs and simulators. So currently, when students are going to the lab and learning things, and now the situation will be every lab, right from coding or your physics lab or your biology lab or your computer science lab, electronics lab, for everything there are simulations. So you just go and Google out for any subject. Do you have a simulation? There will be definitely good number of startups who are working on simulation. So look at it, every simulation is the hard work of a designer. He may be an automobile designer, he may be a robotic designer, a mechanical designer, or a construction designer, or architectural designer. But every simulator is developed by a designer. While the know-how is from a teacher, the technology or the design is from a designer. Sixth, what we are doing now, webinars will be the new meeting point. So we run large conferences and events, and for every event there is need for such presentations, videos, and UI and things like that. So definitely here is a role where the designers will play. So this is another one where now there is no more going to a examination hall and taking exams. You are already saying anytime, anywhere examination. So this is another trend which is going to change in higher education, in education. So you will not wait for your semester to get over. As soon as you complete your learning your subject, you just go pick up your exam time and you take exams. So here is where instructional designers role come into play. 8, as I told you, the gig economy. It will help you to getting hired to several jobs, and graphic designers or any designer for that matter will have a huge opportunity to be part of this gig economy. So 9, and the last trend is the rise of mentor. since it is more going to be self-driven, a student or a teacher or whoever, a learner is going to be self-driven, the rise of mentor you're going to witness in a big way, which means if there is somebody in this room who is good at something, I will adopt you as a mentor, which means I will come to you, I will ensure I get inputs from you, and you will be my mentor for that particular knowledge or particular expertise. So I will have 10 mentors. For my public speaking skill, I have a mentor. For my graphic design skills, I have a mentor. For my career in graphic design, I have a mentor. For my hobbies, I have a different mentor, because I'm playing a sport. I will have a different mentor. I think the role of mentor will play a very critical role. The reason why I'm talking about this 9 trends in this conference is very clear. Design, as I said, no, there will be 100 types of designers. No, that there is no, it is still not regulated. No, you may be an architecture designer, or landscape designer, or a furniture designer, or a mechanical designer, because we develop a lot of designers for automobile. We develop a lot of designers for multimedia content. We have hundreds of instructional designers who work with us. If you look at, there are different kind of designer. In my own team, I've got somebody who works only on video, somebody who works only on sound. So if you look at, there are different types of designers. The types of careers and the types of opportunities for designers are enormous. I was able to list out few things which I was able to pick up from the internet, right from costume design or jewelry design, or you take your instructional designing and things like that. But all I wanted to tell you is, these are the 6 points which I picked it up from one of the leading institute. Every designer will have to have. You should be strong in analytics. You should be able to analyze the business need. Because analytical your understanding about the business need. Because end of the day, you are a designer. You are going to develop it for somebody to cater to their customers. For example, say somebody develops me an online learning content to cater to my students. So analytical, empathetic, you should be a problem solver, because you will undergo a lot of problems, and you should be a strong collaborator, communicator, and a learner. Because technology changes, tool changes. It is time that you understand these traits, and I'm sure you all will have that. And design is a very, very interesting and important profession that will change the way in which education is being taught today. So that's all I had to say, because out of my brief time. Thank you very much for the opportunity. So if there is anything, any questions, you can write to me, because if there is no time, I've just put in my email ID there.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, unfortunately, we ran out of time. Actually, we have probably time for one question, and the rest, yes, as mentioned, you can send to that email. So that question is a little bit broad, but let's see how much time we have. What other things that I should consider in designing an instructional material?
Again, it's a very, very broad question. See, instructional designer role requires certain skill sets, but for which my request to you, see, technology tool wise, you can learn quickly. You need to understand the pedagogy in which that particular subject is delivered. That is the most difficult part, because see, instructional designing for mathematics and instructional designing for electronics is going to be altogether different. It is not going to be the same. You may still have a good knowledge of the technology in what you're going to develop that design, but understanding the pedagogy, working along with the subject matter expert will be the core requirement for an instructional designer.
Got it. That was actually a pretty quick answer. So we have one more question then. And once again, it's pretty broad one. So how might we design learning experiences where students solve real world problems? Let's end here, where the students solve real world problems.
Okay, see, first, again, we need to make sure student understand the real world problems, which is, obviously, we all go with the, UN's sustainability index and things like that. So we will need to make them understand what kind of problems are there in the world, and and we need to make them go around and find out what. First of all, let us not worry about the world's problem. Let us worry only about the street's problem. I'm living in a street. You should make your student walk around the street and find out what problem is there in that street. Is there any problem with wastage, or is there any problem with water? Is there any problem with sanitation, whatever. If we are able to, if each student is able to find a problem locally in their home or in their street, I think that will culminate to solving a societal problem in the future. The point is, people where many people are not able to find the problem, but they will know the solution. So finding the problem is the most difficult thing. I would suggest, if you are working with students, please start it from your own street or your own city or your own town. So I think once you do that, once you find, you run a hackathon for your city, then you will understand, students will come up with hundreds of ideas of picking up problems, and then we will find ways to solve it.
Okay, so start small, basically.
Start small. Perfect.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, see you hopefully later. And yeah, the next session is going to be about challenging stereotypes by Kanambari. So bye bye.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.